Hello friend, this is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com, and for this Reseller Friday I want to talk to you about why resellers must step it up. Now when I talk about competition in the marketplace, I'm not talking about in the way average people talk about it, because the reality is we don't have any competition except for ourselves. The inventory supply is extreme. There's an abundance everywhere. Now maybe not in your particular area, because I know people will start arguing, well, but you don't understand. But you're within a few hours probably of a large supply of inventory. Most people just don't put the effort in. The buyers are out there and increasing every year. People buying online is not going away. The marketplaces are growing and growing and growing. Now, some marketplaces might lose a little bit of people here and there, but the overall trend, because there's new platforms coming up and they are growing, there's an abundance of buyers out there. So yes, there are other resellers selling. There are other resellers maybe even selling the same items you're selling. But that's your competition, but they're not really your competition, because your competition really is yourself. Because if you look at what average resellers are doing, it's pretty mediocre. I can't tell you how many average resellers who have told me, well, you know, I haven't listed in a week. But what have they done during that week? They got a few sales here and there, and they bought more inventory. But they haven't even been listing. So they're literally hemorrhaging money, buying more inventory that is going into death piles and not getting listed. That's why I'm saying resellers must step it up. You need to work longer hours. I know people don't want to hear this. This is not going to be a video that people are going to be, oh yeah, I like hearing this. But it's what you need to hear. You need to work longer hours. You need to work more intelligently. You know, in my area there, and I say my area, I live in the country, so I have to drive sometimes an hour, hour and a half to get to places. So I say my area, which is a very large radius. But because some of these places are so far, I literally took a little notebook, a little dollar store notebook, and wrote down every place I went in. The start of the day, I wrote down the date. Then I wrote down I went to this Goodwill. I went to this thrift store. And I wrote down what I bought. I didn't write down the exact items because I don't have time for that. But I wrote down how much I paid. So if I paid $100 for the items I bought. And then I also wrote down what I estimated the resale value was for those items. And I did this to all the dozens of places I went to. And I did this for about a month. And I got a good idea of what places I don't need to be going to. Because some of these places I was going to every single day, I didn't need to be going to them except for maybe once a week. Or some of the places once a month, because there was so little inventory. And I tried going there. Like when I first started, for the first week, I went every day to almost a dozen thrift stores. They're the closest ones to me. To get an idea of, are these places worth going to every day? Many of them are not. Some of them were. Some of them were actually worth going to multiple times a day. It just depends. How many resellers are doing that? Now, we're not talking about a lot of work here, and we're not talking about a lot of money. You don't even need to buy. If you have a piece of paper and a pen, you can write this stuff down. You don't need even a dollar store journal to write in. It's very simple. It costs nothing. It takes very little time. And more importantly, because any amount of time you're spending writing down a few little things is going to save you a tremendous amount of time in the time you stop wasting going to the same thrift stores over and over again that aren't providing you good quality inventory at a large enough level. Some thrift stores don't put out new stuff except maybe once a week. You don't need to be going there every day. Once you went there one day, you've seen everything they have. You just need to go when they're putting more stuff out. This will save you a tremendous amount of time, and it will step up your reselling ability, because the average reseller is not doing this. They are scattered. Their focus is all over the place. They're not thinking about anything they're doing really. They're just going, hoping magically that something will show up at this thrift store they've been to 3 times this week and haven't found anything. But now this day might be the day. Well, it might be, but if you've done some little bit of research, kept a little bit of track of what you've been buying, to understand the value that is presented to you from this particular store, you could make a better decision and stop wasting your time going to thrift stores or any kind of sourcing area that is costing you time. And your time is most valuable, because here's the thing. That time you can save by not going sourcing at places that aren't valuable for you, you can put in the most important thing, which is listing. Because it doesn't matter how many items you have if they're not listed. It's as good as having nothing. Matter of fact, it might be worse, because people with death piles get in this endless cycle of getting more stuff, piling it up with the rest of the stuff they haven't listed, and it seems to never get anywhere. Every now and then they randomly list some stuff because, oh, this thing's really good, I better get this listed. But then they get this pile of stuff that they say, well, it's not as good, I'll list it sometime, I'll get around to it, who knows. You gotta step things up, my friend. We are heading into Q4. This is the time of year where the most sales start coming in. Actually, into Q1 of next year, there's a lot of sales then too. But this is one of the best times of year for you to sell stuff, depending on the type of item you sell. But for everybody across the board, it ramps up. You need to be doing your all. You need to be sourcing wisely, not wasting your time sourcing. And I know a lot of people enjoy sourcing, I get it. But you can't be wasting your time doing that. If you want to enjoy your sourcing, make sure you're going to the right places so you can get the right items and get some sales coming in by getting good quality items that you actually list. Not just buying more stuff that you can set in a pile somewhere and not list. You need to list more. Like I said, I know people are not going to be happy about the contents of this video, but it's honest and it's what you need to hear. You need to list more. Now, I'm not telling you to go buy more, because for the average reseller, you already have enough stuff sitting around. Start working on the stuff you have that's sitting around in a death pile not getting listed. Get that stuff listed and list more. If you list 5 a day, maybe try getting up to 7 a day. Put some effort in. You need to get more stuff listed, because obviously, if you have more quality items listed, you're going to get more sales. Now, if you have a bunch of junk, I'm not telling you to get that stuff listed. Maybe you go take that stuff and donate it back to the thrift store and start over from scratch. If you got a bunch of stuff that you know is not really worth listing, why waste your time? Let's be wise about this. Your time's very valuable. Don't waste your time listing a bunch of junk that's not going to sell just to meet some quota. Well, you know, I got to list 10 a day, so I better list this stuff. If it's junk, no. I'd rather you list 3 a day that is good quality items and list 10 junky items a day. Oh, I got these bunch of Disney VHS tapes, I better get them listed. For what, $3 or $4? Why are you wasting your time with that? You are in a business that can make you a tremendous amount of money, but it requires your effort. You need to be wise. Your time is the most valuable thing you have in this. You need to be wise in how you use your time. You need to be listing more items. You need to be making sure that any new items you're buying are quality items, and make sure that you're getting them listed immediately or as soon as possible. My rule is, and it depends on what I'm doing for the day, but if I go out sourcing to 12 locations, this rule is set aside because I get too much inventory and I can't possibly list it all in 24 hours. But my rule is that I list everything I get within 24 hours. If I go to places and get a huge load of inventory that can't be listed in 24 hours, it doesn't apply. But the basic rule is, if you get 3 or 4 items, or you get 20, 30 items or something, if you get 50 items, you get 100, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is for you that is going to max you out, you get them all listed within 24 hours. And that puts a little bit of pressure on you, but it's not bad pressure. It's so you don't end up doing like everybody else is doing, where they're shoving stuff in a corner, piling it up, and not getting it listed. Because that's capital tied up in that inventory that is not making you money. And that's as good as throwing your money away if it's never going to get listed. Or if you realize it's all bad buys and you just need to go take it back to the thrift store and donate it back. That's not the way you want to be running your reselling business. You need to be getting more inventory that's quality inventory. You need to be wise in your sourcing so you're not wasting your time in that, and you need to be listing more. And then the rest of the stuff is basic, obvious stuff, but people don't do it. If you're on a platform where you can send offers, send offers. And if you have inventory that is listed and you can't afford to send an offer, you have a serious problem. Stop buying that inventory. You ought to have margins large enough that you can send a good offer to somebody that makes it worth buying to them. Make sure you're on top of your customer service, returns, questions. Make sure you're doing the things you need to do to run your business like a real business so you can have the best success. And yes, I know people ask questions, you answer the questions, and they still don't buy. I know that happens a lot, but sometimes people do buy. You need to be in the practice of answering those questions, not saying, oh, this is a dumb question. This is questions answered in the description. Answer the question still. Because sometimes people are on mobile or something, and they don't even see the description. Maybe they're brand new to the website you're on. They don't even see the description. They don't know. Just answer the question. Do your best to provide the best service for your customers. Get out there and step it up. Really work harder and work more intelligently. And my friend, watch as you become a great success. This Q4 is going to be awesome for you if you'll do these simple things. Yes, it's going to take hard work from you, but you will be mightily rewarded for it. I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.